So Arjuna requests Bhagwan to reveal to him the various vibhutis, the various glories, expressions of God by which He pervades this whole world. Meditating on these vibhutis will help us to tune our mind to the divinity, and it's a good sadhana. So Arjuna wants to know in detail, Vistarena Atmano Yogam Vibhutincha Janardana Bhuya Kathaya Traptirhi Shranvato Nasti Me Mritam. That I want to know in detail your yoga and your vibhuti, because I derive great joy in listening to your words like nectar. So please tell me in detail. So Bhagavan says, in detail I will not be able to reveal, because there is no end to my vibhutis. If I have to tell in detail, I will have to talk about each and everything. And it is countless, infinite. But I will reveal some important vibhutis to you, which you can contemplate, think, meditate upon. So in the beginning itself, Bhagavan reveals to Arjuna that the self in you is my own self. I alone am there as self in you and in all the beings. Aham Atma Gudha Kesha Sarva Bhuta Shayastitaha. That you have to meditate on me as your own self. That is the highest and the most wonderful vibhuti of Bhagavan, our own self. Self means not the ego, but the pure consciousness, the witness, the pure being. That is Bhagavan's vibhuti. Bhagavan alone was in the beginning, in the middle of this creation, and He alone will remain when everything dissolves. Then He reveals certain other vibhutis, that among Adityas I am Vishnu, among the luminaries I am the sun, among all the Maruta I am Marichi, and among the nakshatras I am the moon. At night, when we look at the moon, we should look at it as Bhagavan's vibhuti only, and worship and meditate on that moon. Moon is also revealed in the scripture as the devata of our mind. So one can meditate on that moon as God. Some more vibhutis now are revealed. We'll chant verse number 22. Vedanam samavedosmi Devanamasmi vasavaha Indriyanam manaschasmi Bhutanamasmi cetana Vedanam samavedosmi Devanamasmi vasavaha Vedanam samavedosmi. Among all the Vedas, Bhagavan says, I am Samaved. Ved literally Ved means knowledge. Ved are the means of knowing that Paramatma. See, there are two things which are beyond the comprehension of our senses. One is dharma and another is moksha. In order to understand dharma and in order to understand moksha or attain moksha, we have to take help of the Vedas. what is good and what is not good, what is right and what is not right, we can take support of the Vedas to understand. Again, what is the nature of that supreme reality? We have to take the support of the Vedas. Vedas are the revealed scriptures. They are not written by any human being. It is revealed to a human being, to the rishis, but they are not the authors of the Vedas. Therefore, they don't claim to be the authors. We don't have anyone saying that I have written. But their names are there. Rishis, those who have received this revelation, their names are there. For example, the Gayatri Mantra was revealed to Vishwamitra Rishi. So we take his name, we bow down to him, but he is not the author of Gayatri Mantra. It was revealed to him. So there are these 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Sama Veda and Atharva Veda. In the Rig Veda, mainly the verses, mantras are in prose form. In the Yajurveda, it is both prose and poetry. But in the Samaved, it is more in poetic form and it can be sung. In fact, the music also came from the Samaved only. So Samaved is very sweet and it can be sung. So Bhagwan is there in all the Vedas. All Vedas are Bhagwan's vibhutis only. But out of them, Bhagwan says, Samaved is my special vibhuti. Music. So Bhagwan is not only known through the prose text which are there, but he is more deeply, more intimately understood when we also add music to it. Because when we add music, we add our heart, our mind, our emotions. Something which is just a prose, you can understand it using your intellect. But that which is musical, that which is poetic, we can also feel it with our heart. Therefore, most of our scriptures actually are very poetic. Even Shankaracharya ji has written commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, but he has also composed a lot of other texts which are highly poetic, like Bhaja Govindam. The message is given, but when it is given in poetry, in song, it touches our heart more deeply. So here Samaved is highly poetic and can be sung in various ways. So Bhagwan calls it his vibhuti. So Vedanam Samavedosmi, Devanam Asmi Vasavaha, and among Devatas, there are many Devatas. About 33 crores Devatas are there. Many Devatas are there. But among all the Devatas, one Devata is the king of all these Devatas, and he is the Indra Devata. Vasavaha is Indra, the king of all the Devatas. He is the controller of all the Devatas. So Bhagwan says, Indra Bhagwan is my vibhuti only. Just the Atma is like the controller of all the Devatas. See, even subjectively, our senses are like Devatas, and the mind is like Indra. So just as the mind controls the senses, similarly, the self is the controller of everything. So Devanam Asmi Vasavaha. We should meditate on Indra as Bhagwan's vibhuti only. Then again Bhagwan says, Indriyanam Manaschasmi. Among all the Indriyas, how many Indriyas are there? 10 are there. 5 karmendriya and 5 jnanendriyas, the organs of action and organs of perception. Mind is not one of these indriya, but without the mind, these senses cannot function. Your eyes may be here, but if the mind is not here, you will not be able to see. You will not be able to hear. So behind all our senses, the mind is required. Without the mind, senses cannot function. So mind, actually, the extension of the mind itself is as though the indriyas. Mind remaining as though within comes to understand the whole world through the senses. Each of the senses, they have their own power. Each of them, they go in their own field. They may not understand the language of the other senses. The eyes may not understand the language of the ears. The ears may not understand the language of the tongue. But the mind understands all their language. Mind understands sight, mind understands taste, mind understands touch, mind understands everything. When a child is born or when he is very little, the senses and the mind may not be fully developed. So it may not understand the relationship. Like the child may see something moving and can hear also the sound, but may not be able to relate that the sound is coming from this thing which is moving. But slowly it understands. When the mind develops, it can integrate all these senses. So mind is the lord of as though all these senses. Just as the Atma is the lord of everything that is happening in this world. So Bhagavan says that mind is my vibhuti. Meditate on your mind as me, I, myself. Then bhutanam asmi chetana. One more vibhuti. Among all beings, in all beings, I am the chetana, the life spark. That which makes everyone alive. That which gives life to everyone. That life is my vibhuti. In the 7th chapter also Bhagavan had mentioned that jivanam sarva bhuteshu, that I am the jivan in all beings. Here he indicates that jivan as chetana. Chetana means life, that because of which we are aware, that which because of which we are conscious. That's called chetana. And among all the beings, I am the chetana. See, otherwise our body, everything is made up of matter. But this matter comes alive. And once it is alive, that matter has the power to know, to think, to see, to feel. So that spark which makes the matter also intelligent, that Bhagavan says is I myself. I am that. So bhutanam asmi chetana. So the life in me is expression of God and His wonderful vibhuti. If that life goes away, the body becomes totally useless. Instantly it becomes useless. Like it can't move, it can't walk, it can't talk. So that chetana is Bhagavan's vibhuti. It is a support for us to think about God. It is a symbol which helps us to contemplate on God. That's called vibhuti. It helps us to widen our thinking and to tune ourselves to God. So bhutanam asmi chetana. Some more like that Bhagavan enumerates lots of vibhutis. So let us see in the next verse. Rudranam Shankarashchasmi Vittesho Yaksha Rakshasam Vasunam Pavakaschasmi Merushikharinamaham Rudranam Shankarashchasmi Vittesho Yaksha Rakshasam. Rudranam. There are 11 Rudras. They're the Devatas. 11, they are called Rudra Devata. So Rudranam, among these 11 Devatas which are mentioned in our Puranas, I am that Rudra who is called Shankara. Shankar means one who gives auspiciousness, who is most auspicious. It's called Shankar. Shankaroti iti Shankaraha, who is most auspicious. This Rudra actually is like a terrible roop of Bhagwan, which is meant to destroy everything, annihilate everything. But annihilation is also very auspicious. Without annihilation, creation is not possible. Constantly actually dying takes place in our body also. Because of that only new cells are born. Without dying, new birth is not possible. Without annihilation, creation is not possible. But that annihilation should also be auspicious. It should give rise to something more wonderful, more beautiful. And that power which annihilates and gives rise to something more auspicious and beautiful is called Shankara. So here Bhagwan calls Shankara his own Vibhuti. Rudranam Shankarashchasmi. I am the Shankara. So Lord Shiva, who is the most auspicious, is Bhagwan himself. Shivoham Shivoham. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. We get frightened when Bhagwan wears all these mundamalas and vibhuti and snake all around. So we get frightened. But unless we dispel our ego, unless we destroy our ahankar, unless we destroy our confusion, our anger, our jealousies, love, compassion, and all good qualities will not take birth. So Shankara is very important. Devata. So Rudranam Shankarashchasmi. Then Bhagwan says, Yaksha Rakshasam Vitteshaha. Among Yaksha and Rakshas, all this Rakshas, among Rakshas also Bhagwan says, my Vibhuti is there. I am everywhere, in the good, in the bad, in every place my presence is there. We can learn from them also. We can learn. Even those who are negative, even from them we can learn something positive. From everyone we can learn. From this Yaksha and Rakshas also we can learn. In fact, when this in Ramayana, when after the war, when Ravan was lying on the battlefield, he was almost dying, then Ramchandraji told our Lakshmana that you go to Ravan and learn something from him, because he was a great person, he was a great king, he knew all these Vedas, he knew a lot. No doubt he went little haywire later on, but he knows a lot. He is a great scholar. So you go and learn from him. And Lakshmana was taken aback. He says, what learning from Ravan? So he went with little pride And he stood there near his head and he said, okay, teach me something. And Ravan did not teach him anything. So he came back to Ramchandraji, said, he is not teaching, I don't think he knows anything. So Bhagavan says, you should go to him with due humility. You should approach him as a shishya, approaching a teacher. Then only he will teach you. So he goes there, does namaskar to him, and he says, please teach me. And he teaches him Rajniti and all. One very important thing which Ravan taught him is that don't take your enemies very lightly. Don't think your enemy is small. That mistake I did. I thought these human beings and vanaras are very small. I will be able to handle them. So don't take your enemies to be very small. Don't take disease to be small. Don't take fire to be small. Because a little fire can immediately can become more and burn the whole house also. So Yaksha and Rakshas also, they have their own personality and their own importance in the whole creation. So these Rakshas, they need, even in modern times, Rakshasas are there. So these Rakshasas, they need for their existence, for their sustenance, wealth. And the accountant or the treasurer of these Rakshasas is called this Vittesha Kuber. So Kuber, Vittesha is Kuber. Kuber is the treasurer of all these Rakshasas. He keeps all their wealth. And because of that, the Rakshasas, they are sustained. Rakshas also means one who can do their own raksha. They don't require anybody's help. In fact, when Devtas and these Rakshasas used to fight, the Devtas always used to run away and they used to request for help from someone else, please save us. But Rakshasas, they were always very powerful. They didn't require anyone to help them. Khud ki raksha khud karte the. Therefore, they were called Rakshas. Anyway, I am not encouraging anybody to become. But that is also Bhagavan's vibhuti. So, among them, this Kuber, who is depicted in a very ugly way in our scriptures, having a big belly and 3 legs and bald head and all. If you go to this, our National Museum, they have kept one murti of, I think so, last time when I went, there was this murti of Kuber was there. And people used to touch his belly. They thought that it will give them wealth. So, Vitteshaha Yaksha Rakshasam. Bhagavan says, consider me as this Vittesha, as Kuber. Just as for the sustenance of the Rakshasas, Kuber is required, similarly for the sustenance of this whole world, my presence is required. So imagine me as this Kuber among these Rakshasas. Further, Bhagavan says, Vasunam Pavakaschasmi. Among Vasus, again these Vasus are also the Devatas of season. There are 8 Vasus mentioned in the scriptures in the Turiya Avastha. That sound indicates the Jagrat Avastha, the waking state. That sound indicates the Swapna Avastha. That sound indicates the Sushupti Avastha, and the silence indicates the Turiya Avastha. So just by chanting this Om and constantly meditating upon it will help a seeker to realize the truth. It is the most powerful mantra. Even if we don't understand the meaning, if we chant Om, it purifies our heart. The sound itself is is very soothing and it purifies the heart. Om, in Om, all the devatas, they reside in this Om. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, all of them are there in Om. When we chant Om, we as though invoke all the devatas. So it is considered to be the most auspicious sound. Om. While chanting Om, one can focus one's attention on the beginning, the beginning of this sound. One can then focus one's attention on the middle of that sound. One can focus on the end of that sound. Means one can focus on A, on U, on Ma, and then on the silence. So in various ways, this Omkar can guide us, help us in our sadhana. So Bhagavan says, this Om is my vibhuti only. More about this Om is said in the Mandukya Upanishad and in other scriptures. So Giram Asmi Ekam Aksharam, so Ekakshara mantra, Om. Most beautiful. So let us chant Om. Close your eyes. First experience the silence within. And be aware of how from that silence the sound emerges. So take a deep breath and chant Om. So Giram Asmi Ekam Aksharam Yajnanam Japayajñosmi Stavaranam Himalayaha. Bhagavan says, among all the yajnas, I am Japayajna. See, yajna is when we kindle the fire and we offer the ahuti. Various types of yajnas one does, or Gayatri Yajna, and so many different types of yajnas one does. And the rituals are mentioned in our scriptures, how to go about doing it. Like even in Ramayana, our Dasharath Maharaj does the Putra Kameshti Yajna. Then if it doesn't rain, then we have some special Varuna Yajna. So various types of yajnas are there. And for that, elaborate rituals are there. Even in the Kathopanishad, Yamrajji mentions a yajna by which we can go to Swarga. So he mentions what type of bricks one should use, how many types of bricks, how many bricks should be laid, in what manner it should be, because it is a proper like geometry. it should be laid in a proper way. Then the type of wood which we should use, then type of the ghee and all the other samugris, and the mantras and the number of purohits required, and all sorts of things are there in a yajna. It's a very elaborate affair. And there are many, many types of yajna. But Bhagwan here, he says that out of all these yajnas, I am japa yajna. And how the japa yajna is done? No fire, no bricks, no nothing, no special arrangement is required. It can be done at any time, in any condition. We can chant Bhagwan's name. In the 8th chapter, Bhagwan says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. You can remember me at all times. See, there are certain mantras and all you should not chant at this time and that time, and all sorts of rules are there. But for japa, for chanting Bhagwan's name, no rules. Anytime, in any condition, whether you are in whatever condition, you don't have to take bath to chant Bhagwan's name. Even if you are not taken bath, even if you are not in a whatever condition, you can chant. There is no vidhi. There is one more very interesting Upanishad in which Naradji approaches Bhagwan, Vishnu Bhagwan, and he says that Kali Yuga is about to come. So please tell me something which will be helpful to Kali Yuga people. So Bhagwan says, for Kali Yuga, the best thing is to chant my name. So Naradji asked him that what is the vidhi? What are the rules? Because everything has got rules. What are the rules? He says there are no rules. You can chant it in whatever way. Which mantra we should chant? So there Bhagwan gives that mantra. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. But not only that mantra, but any name of God, Ram or Krishna, we can chant. So japa is constantly repeating a mantra is called japa. Repetition is called japa. Our mind is made up of thoughts. And these thoughts constantly come from our past samskar, impressions. You just sit quietly doing nothing, thoughts will keep coming. From where are they coming? From your past. You cannot stop the thoughts. You tell the mind not to think, it will think. It will think about not thinking. So mind is a factory, like constantly it is a thought factory, like constantly thinking. And mind is the main obstacle on our path. Mind is helpful and also an obstacle. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. Mind alone is the cause of our bondage and liberation. Mind, whatever be the state of the mind, that is our experience. If mind is happy, you are happy. Mind is sad, you are sad. Mind is intelligent, you are intelligent. Mind is peaceful, you are peaceful. Everything boils down to mind. If mind is fearless, you are fearless. It doesn't depend on the world outside. You may have a lot of wealth and position, name, fame, but if fear is there in the mind, nobody can help. That fellow will be totally frightened. If sadness is there in mind, nobody can help. That person will remain sad. So in order to bring about change in the mind, if our mind changes, get transformed, we get transformed. In order to bring about this change in the mind, the most fascinating and beautiful sadhana which our Rishi Munis have given and which is accepted by all the religions of this world is japa. And of any mantra. So what happens when it is consciously we put a particular thought in the mind. These thoughts which are coming constantly, they are not under our control. They are just coming. So what we do, we consciously put some thought in our mind. And we put in such a way, keep on repeating that this conscious thought starts pervading the entire mind, start capturing the mind. Our Pujya Gurudev is to have this technique of meditation which is most fascinating. Gurudev is to say that first step is to just observe your mind. He called thought parade. Just as you watch a parade, you just watch the thoughts of the mind. It will quieten the mind to a certain extent. Then you start chanting a mantra. And this mantra is given by you, consciously you are chanting. So slowly the mind will get filled with this mantra only. Then he says, Gurudev says, that as you practice this continuously, you chant Om, 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 or Ram, Ram, Ram. And as you chant, then at a particular time, you just tell the mind to stop, halt. And the chanting stops. And in that, when the chanting stops, all the other thoughts also stop. And in that silence of the mind, there is a possibility of you getting enlightened. It's a very interesting, it's like a lot of crowd is there. You infiltrate that crowd with your own people. Like if in the lecture also, not that I have done it, but in a political meeting and all, you have a lot of your people there. And now and then tell them to clap and all. ताली बजाओ. तो सब लोग ताली बजाने लगते हैं. You have your own people. Similarly, among all the thoughts of your mind, you put your consciously, proactively, you put that thought. Thought, how does thought enter? Through words. First you chant it loudly, then you chant within your lips, then you chant then in your mind. And by constantly chanting, this thought enter your mind. And this mantra is Bhagwan's name, because we are chanting it with that attitude that it is Bhagwan's name. We are chanting with reverence and with faith. Then that mantra has got this power to negate and destroy all the negativities of the mind. It's like taking a tablet, a pill. So this removes all the impurities of our mind. Tulsidas ji says that if you chant this Ram, Naam, it will purify your mind. Rakar uchchara matrena niryati sarva patakam. He says that just by chanting Ra, all your negativities will go away. And when you chant Ma, your mouth will close and all the good qualities will come and they will remain in your heart. So, our japa plays a very, very important role. Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, everyone. It doesn't matter what mantra you chant. That mantra should be chanted with love, with total reverence, with faith. And if you chant mantra which is traditionally, which comes down, see there are certain mantras which are given to us if we are born in this country, and if we were born before also in this country, certain mantras would have been given to us time and again, like Gayatri Mantra. Gayatri Mantra is something which every Hindu was taught. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, everyone, Shudra, everyone should learn this Gayatri Mantra. so that if I die and again am born in the same country, again I will be taught this Gayatri Mantra. So what happens that my sadhana of chanting mantra continues from not only for one lifetime, but for many, many lifetimes. In fact, in the great saint of Maharashtra, Sant Jnaneshwar Maharaj, he says that if we have love for God or love for a particular mantra, it is not because of this lifetime's your sadhana only, because you are carrying it from your past. Bahut sukrutanchi zodi manuni vitthali avadi. That I have great punya, therefore I love Vithala, because I am carrying that love for Vithala from my past life. So there is great, even in Sikhism, Guru Nanak Dev, he is great, that mantra, Moola mantra, and in the end he says japa, you have to do japa of that. Japa, what happens? That first that mantra start entering our system. Then that mantra, it is said, that mantra has got their own devata. Those devatas start revealing the meaning of that mantra to us. Even if we don't understand the meaning in the beginning, if we keep chanting that mantra, that the meaning of that mantra will get revealed to us. That is the inner inbuilt strength of that mantra itself. And mantra has got its own image also. Like for example, even those who don't know anything about Shiva, if they chant Om Namah Shivaya, even if they are not given the image of Shiva and nothing is told about Shiva, after a lot of chanting of this mantra, they will get the image of Shiva as described in our scriptures. That will get into their heart. They will start seeing image as described in the scriptures. Yasyanke cha vibhati bhudharasuta devapaga mastake bhale bala vidulgale chagaralam yasyorasi vyalarat soyam bhuti vibhushana suravara sarvadhipas sarvada Sharva Sarvagata Shiva Shashinibha Shri Shankara Patuma. So they will get that image of Shiva. If you chant Rama mantra, you will get the image of Rama. So it's the mantra has got its own inbuilt Shakti. Actually, these words, sound, they are very powerful. They have their own power. And each sound has got its own inbuilt image and devata and its Shakti also. So it comes. So Bhagavan says this is the simplest of all the sadhana which you can do, and a very simple yajna. Just whichever name of God which you like, or even if you don't like, you choose one and then you continuously you chant it with full love, full devotion, and it will lead to that state of realization. Valmiki just chanting Ram, 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 he gained that state of enlightenment. In this, our modern time also, Samartha Ramdas Swamiji from Maharashtra, he chanted Bhagwan's name, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, 13 crores time, and he gained that state of enlightenment.